Steph, we've now learned that 2 people died in this horrible wreck. One of them reportedly an innocent driver. The fiery crash happened here, guys, off the Beltway on the feeder right here at Clay Road. You can see Precinct 5 deputies and HPD officers working the scene this morning. But take a look. Here's video a witness shared with me showing the flames from the 2 cars. He told me he heard a car speeding by, then seconds later a loud crash that sounded like an explosion. Here's another view of that fiery crash caught on TransStar cameras. This all happened just after 4 this morning. Precinct 5 says a driver sped past a patrol car with no lights on the Beltway. When the deputy tried to stop them, that driver kept going, exited Clay, and moments later crashed into a second car, setting them both on fire. Now back out here live, guys, I can tell you this is just an awful wreck. This morning, I can see a charred truck split in half, another car up ahead left in pieces. I'm told both drivers died here on scene. Back to you.
What a horrible story. Michelle Choi, thank you for that. We will stay on top of this for you throughout the morning, and we will send you updates on KHOU.com and also on the KHOU 11 News app. Now to the human costs of the crisis at the border. Hundreds of children will soon be housed at a shelter in North Houston. It's the latest facility to open to deal with the influx of people crossing the border. The National Association of Christian Churches asked to open a shelter to house up to 500 children. And we watched as trucks delivered supplies to its warehouse in North Houston. People inside the facility told us that kids could arrive as early as this morning. And late last night, Houston Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee got a tour of the facility and then spoke to us about what she saw inside.
It is filled with appropriate bedding, wonderful staff, warm and receiving, medical staff, a in-house ambulance. Everything has been done.
Again, we are waiting for those migrant children to arrive here in Houston, and when they get here, we will update you on air, on KHOU.com, as well as the KHOU 11 mobile app. We're also sending all of our coverage there so you can stay updated on this big story around the clock. Today, the first week of the Darren Chauvin trial wraps up, and yesterday we heard from George Floyd's girlfriend, who shared emotional testimony about his personal struggles after moving away from Houston. That's just one of the angles we are following today. Xavier is live in Minneapolis, and Xavier, what can you tell us that's on tap for today?
Steph, good morning. Yeah, we're going to wrap up week 1 of the Chauvin trial here, and prosecutors will call several witnesses today, and that could include a big player in this whole story. Now, we're not talking about anyone who witnessed George Floyd's death, more so someone who played a big role in the aftermath. We're talking about Minneapolis's police chief, who ultimately fired Derek Chauvin and 3 other officers involved in this incident.
Chief Madera Arredondo is expected to testify about police training on the Minneapolis force. His time in the stand follows testimony from a retired police sergeant who said Derek Chauvin restrained George Floyd longer than was necessary.
When Mr. Floyd was no longer offering up any resistance to the officers, they could have ended the restraint.
That's the first expert testimony on what happened that day. Jurors also heard for the first time about Floyd's medical condition from paramedics who responded to the scene.
In lay terms, I thought he was dead.
And prosecutors called Floyd's longtime girlfriend to the stand. Courtney Ross broke down while talking about their relationship and their shared opioid addiction.
We both suffered from chronic pain. Mine was in my neck and his was in his back.
Experts say this was the prosecution's chance to blunt the defense's argument that Floyd's death was tied to drug abuse. And of course, we're likely to hear more about that, as well as police training and use of force possibly later today. Steph, I'm going to send it back to you there in Houston.
All right, Xavier, thank you. We will see you later on in the hour. Meantime, for continuous updates on the trial, you can go to KHOU.com and the KHOU 11 mobile app. And we will also continue live streaming the trial on our website, on Roku, and also Fire TV. We turn now to the coronavirus. Health experts are asking you to stay alert as the number of variant cases surges nationwide.
In Texas, numbers are not going up just yet, but experts fear that will change soon. Officials are optimistic about the results of a Pfizer vaccine trial that showed children 12 to 15 years old were 100% protected against the virus. They say it will make schools safer next year.
Pfizer also says its vaccine is 91% effective for up to 6 months after your second dose. More of you got COVID stimulus payments this week. It includes supplemental payments for people whose income changed in 2020. Checks for Social Security recipients and anyone else who didn't file taxes last year should arrive next week.
Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo is now calling on companies to criticize a new voting bill that's on the fast track to Governor Greg Abbott's desk. Senate Bill 7 is now in the hands of the Texas House. It would ban drive-through voting and 24-hour voting in Texas. Republicans say this new bill will strengthen the public's faith in the elections process. Democrats call it voter suppression.
President Biden's first official cabinet meeting focused on his massive infrastructure plan. The president tapped 5 cabinet secretaries to help sell the deal.
But the president's plan to raise corporate taxes to pay for the massive proposal has received pushback from congressional Republicans and some business leaders.
The Astros opened the season with a big win. They blew past the A's in Oakland in a late-night matchup. Final score 8-1. They'll face off again tonight at 8:40 Houston time.
All right, there you go. Great to see the Stros back in action, of course. And Brandy, we are also talking about UH basketball as well.
Yeah, Steph, it feels like we haven't said this in a while, but it is really an awesome time to be a Houston sports fan. We want to know this morning, which 2 teams do you think are going to play in the NCAA championship? I mean, the real question is, who do you think is playing Houston on Monday night, right? Text us your predicted matchup to 713-526-1111. While you do, let's talk about the Final Four. The countdown is on. Houston is showing its love for the Cougs, like the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket at Space Center Houston lit red to support the team. Mattress Mac went a step further. He is sending 150 U of H basketball fans on the trip of a lifetime to the Final Four. That includes about 50 U of H students. Each winner gets to bring a friend, and they are all hopping on a chartered plane today headed to Indy.
Feeling excited, just lost for words, honestly. I just can't believe I actually won. Like they actually called my name. I was just feeling shocked.
It gets better. The Cougs, if they win tomorrow, those students get to stay for the championship game on Monday. And just a reminder, you can watch tomorrow's Final Four games right here on KHU 11. Houston and Baylor are up first, tips at 4:14. Then UCLA and Gonzaga follow with a 7:34 tip. And we even have this handy dandy countdown to the U of H tip for you. Our Matt Musil is in Indianapolis ahead of those games. We're going to check in with him coming up at 6:30. But for now, let's check in with Blake and the one thing you need to know in weather.
One thing you need to know is you're going to need to find a sweater this morning as you head out the door. It's shaping up to be a chilly start to the day. Upper 30s and lower 40s just about area wide, but we are going to warm into the 70s this afternoon under bright sunny skies. But there is a slight change heading into the Easter weekend. We've got that forecast coming up in just a few minutes.